And now I want to bring in California Democratic Congresswoman Sara Jacobs. She's a member of the House Armed Services and Foreign Affairs Committee. Thank you for joining us. I know, Congresswoman, you've been against a no-fly zone. Did that speech, that video change your mind at all?
Look, the images that President Zelensky showed us were heartbreaking, and the civilian casualties are continuing to mount, and it's terrible to see that happen, and we should be very clear that all of this blood is on Vladimir Putin's hands. But President Zelensky told us that we need to be leaders of the world and leaders of the United States, and part of that is making sure that we don't get the world into a nuclear war, which is why I think it's incredibly important that we continue to make sure that we're not doing anything that would put us in direct conflict with the Russians that could escalate into a nuclear conflict, and why I continue to be against a NATO or U.S. enforced no-fly zone. Now, that doesn't mean there's not more we can do to help close the skies, and it's why I've been supportive of sending weapon systems and additional weapon systems like more surface-to-air missiles, like S-300s, to make sure that the Ukrainians have the tools they need to protect their populations.
Do you believe that there is a firm red line on that no-fly zone, or is there a point at which you leave open the possibility that the U.S. might need to get involved in that way?
Look, I think it's never good in conflict to put firm lines here or there, because you never know what can happen. But I don't see a scenario where the situation would get to a place where the United States would risk getting us into a nuclear conflict unless or until Putin decides to try and attack a NATO country, and then our Article 5 obligations are triggered.
Meantime, in our final minute, I want to ask you about the humanitarian crisis. As you know, millions have fled. Only a few hundred have come to the United States. The Biden administration is considering expediting the resettlement of Ukrainian refugees with U.S. ties, including those with family already living here. But should the U.S. be doing more? And do they need to do it quickly? You have countries like Poland begging for help.
Look, I think we should be doing everything we can to get humanitarian assistance to the Ukrainians who are fleeing, to accept more refugees here in the United States, to lift the refugee cap. And I think it's important that that should be not only for Ukrainians, but for everyone who's fleeing conflict and war. The images we saw today from Ukraine could just as easily have been shown from Damascus. And so we need to understand that we need to welcome refugees from conflicts across the globe and make sure we're getting them the humanitarian assistance they need and welcoming them here, including the Ukrainian people.
Congresswoman Sara Jacobs, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you just came out from the chamber, so we appreciate it.